Sunila and I are going to talk about no phone holidays.
I feel it really helps. I mean, today it sounds scary to be without phones, but whatever I remember from my holiday in Antarctica, the image is so vivid in my mind. I can't forget it.
I think when you're planning a no phone holiday, you really have to ask yourself, why do you really need to stay connected? Some people want to stay connected for WhatsApp, but a plane ride really teaches you first step towards a no phone holiday.
One place where I really pray and hope that never ever will people get network is these safaris. You know, like when you're in Africa or even in India and you're out on a safari on the Mara and you're looking at animals, the last thing you want is someone's phone to buzz, right?
Think about it, like when was the last time you had a phone free holiday? Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. Today's episode is a little different. Today we are going to talk about something that, I probably did in like 10 years ago. It's no phone holidays. So this phone that keeps us connected to the world, let's ditch this for the next 30 or 40 minutes. And Sunila and I are going to talk about no phone holidays. Now, no phone holidays means being truly disconnected, not just silencing your notifications or putting your phone on silent. We are really talking about staying away from your phone. Now we'll talk about different types of being disconnected. We'll talk about how you can be disconnected and a whole lot more. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. But before that, this phone goes away. So welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. I have Sunila here with me. And Sunila, do you know, like I of course mentioned it, but where my last no phone holiday to was?
I think I have a clue because it is a place where network is really tough. You won't be in the network, and Wi-Fi is so expensive, and you get it for such little time that you probably don't want to
What is the
even take
destination
that,
you're
right?
thinking?
And it's something that is probably every person's dream, the seventh continent.
Yep, that's right. Antarctica.
Yeah.
I mean, that is forced no phones, right? Like it forces you because
Yes.
Wi-Fi is too expensive and all of these things. So when we are to talk about no phone holidays, how would you like to start this discussion?
Neil, I think you started with Antarctica, and I want to paint an image of Antarctica because I feel it really helps. I mean, today it sounds scary to be without phones, uh, but whatever I remember from my holiday in Antarctica, the image is so vivid in my mind. It's so vivid that I can't forget it. Like, I remember there was one evening where. It was a full moon or something, and then the sky was almost like a pink purple. You get these amazing views and amazing skies also out there
Yeah.
because no pollution, nothing, and you have the vast sky. And that evening, Neil, we saw 50 whales on the deck. And I kept going back to the room, and the captain kept announcing that, why don't you come ahead, and we are seeing whales. And after a point, I said, I'm not going back. Why do I need to go back to the room on the cruise? And after a point, I even left my camera. I had my Canon with me, and I said, oh, forget it. I'm not going to take any photos. I just want to enjoy this moment. And I think it's so vivid in my memory. It's one of the most vivid pictures. So probably not having phones helps you focus on what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a great start to it, right?
As I was preparing for this episode, right, I came across this great line which said that when you don't have your phone, you actually capture the moment in your mind. Otherwise, we are
Nice.
just like capturing the moment on our phones and you're not really living in the present. So I think, yeah, not having
Yeah,
your phone
that's
would
true.
like really give you more of an
Yeah.
experience. But at the same time, now we live in a very connected age. And I think even if someone wanted to, it would be very difficult to have a no phone holiday. So what I thought of was that, okay, there could be three different types of no phone holidays, right? One is going to a place and completely being disconnected. Throw that phone in the locker,
Right.
don't look at it for 5 or 6 days. But often people can't do that. So another thing is having days where you have no network, nothing, and that's it. And the remaining days you can do that. Or within a day, a few hours when you have a no phone, right? But depending on the type of person you are, you might choose how you want to have your no phone holiday. But which destinations, what type of holidays, what themes, what comes to your mind when we are thinking about something like this?
Neil, to start off with, I think the first thing that came to my mind when you were speaking was that why do you need to stay connected?
Yeah.
Right? That is really the most important question. And I feel like, the easiest way to go phone free is if you're already with the people that you want to be connected to.
Yeah.
So if you're on a family holiday, like if you're solo and you're traveling for work and you're traveling for other reasons, you want to be connected because you want to work, you want to,
Correct.
send messages back home that above all else that you're safe and everything's fine. But if you're on a holiday with your family, like if you, Heta and Raya go and everyone else knows you're fine and you're good, honestly, I think you can be phone free because the people you want to connect with
Yeah.
are with you. So if it's me and Sarah traveling, I think if I let everyone know, and in fact, I've enjoyed the weekends the most because by Saturday I know that office is fine and you can actually switch off and
Yeah.
then be there in that moment with the people you like. So I think the easiest phone free holiday is with your family.
Yeah, and you made that statement, right? Like, why do you need to be
Yeah.
connected, or why do you need to stay connected? I have this habit that, I keep my phone not on silent at night because if there's an emergency, someone calls, I don't. And since I've
And
had
it's
that
correct
habit,
because you are, I think, the emergency contact for most of us in the family. So you
yes,
better keep your phone
but
on. Yeah.
in the last 11 years, the phone has not
That's
buzzed
good
at night.
news.
So
That's good
that's great
news.
news. But I often have this habit where I'll go for my phone, I'll try to see if there are any
Right.
notifications and all of that. And suddenly you hit that stark reality that, okay, like, you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
not getting as many notifications as you would want to receive. So I totally agree. Like, I think when you're planning a no phone holiday, you really have to ask yourself, why do you really need to stay connected? Some people want to stay connected for WhatsApp,
Yeah.
for emails and all of that. But a plane ride really teaches you, it's
Yes.
like a first
Yeah.
step towards a no phone holiday, right? So let me ask you this: how often do you try to get Wi-Fi on a plane?
So I just did it once, and I think I actually enjoy my plane rides. And I was about to ask you this question because I know how much you enjoy flights
Yeah.
and planes and everything. So you, of course, we'll come back to you. But I think for me, a plane ride is the best me time that I can have. And sometimes I like traveling alone for this very reason, because once the lights are dim in the cabin, and if I'm really awake and well and not sleepy, then I can do a lot of things with a lot of focus. So it could be anything. It's my time. So I would be reading a book, or one of the movies I enjoyed watching on the flight was Inception, because it needs so much concentration,
Yeah.
and the flight was the best place because there's no disturbance, nothing, absolute darkness, and I think I enjoyed that movie. So for me, I kind of decided I don't want to be connected when I'm on the flight. It's just once I did it to see how it works and whether you really get the network that they say you get. And it was okay for emails and things. So I wanted to clear off a lot of emails before I land. So it's easier once you land and once you're back in office after a trip. But otherwise, I don't really log on to the Wi-Fi. What about
Yeah.
you, Neil?
So, now many airlines give you free Wi-Fi if
Yeah.
you have signed up for their frequent flyer and all of that. But the plane ride is one place, I guess, where I try to have that section of my no phone holiday because Heda told me a very interesting thing the other day. We were making a grocery list, right?
Okay.
So I was like, okay, Heda, pull out your phone. We'll make our grocery list. We'll go to Nature's Basket, buy stuff, right? She's like, no, let's write it down. And I was like, why do you want to write it down? Like, we have to carry the piece of paper. And she's like, the problem is nowadays we pick up our phone to do one thing, but suddenly you have a notification
Yeah.
about something, and there will be like Sumit from our podcasting team saying that, post
Giving
this
you more
reel
work.
on Instagram and all of that. And then my grocery list is somewhere else and I'm doing something else. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's it's crazy that your attention span is
Yeah.
5-10 seconds.
Phone is equal to distraction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, chalo, plane rides are one easy way to disconnect, and that's one great idea. But nowadays, there are some resorts also around the world that encourage you to have phone-free holidays, right? Do you have some
Right,
examples?
Neil. I think, when we were thinking of this episode, and I thought of a few things, and I said, look, transport is one, the resorts are the others. And there are certain places which have a certain aura about them where you really want to be phone free. And I think to start off with, since we mentioned cruises and Antarctica, you often go on a cruise. You would go on a cruise, otherwise you can fly. But for most of the time, you are on the cruise. And like you said, it's a forced phone free holiday. And of course, that's not the reason to go to Antarctica. But once you go there, you will really enjoy being phone free. The other place I noticed that was actually in Switzerland on the train. And on the train, it happened by accident because you know our habit when most of us go into trains and with friends, you want to talk, you want to chat, you want to clear your emails, you want to finish phone calls. And then suddenly this lady came up to me, probably mentioned this before, but this lady came up to me and asked me to be quiet. And I just looked at her and she pointed to a sign that said this is a phone free compartment and a silent compartment. So it was actually a silent compartment on the train. And I thought that was a great way to really, disconnect. Of course, you could still be on emails, but I just chose that, let's just put the phone away and keep the notifications off, keep it on silent. And that was another great way. So cruises and trains
It
make
is
it easy.
possible
It is possible.
that you can do that. What was Kilimanjaro like? You've done the trek.
Yes. So
Did you have your phone on you, and how often did you
no,
get it
we
out?
had the phone only when we reached the airport and the city of Kilimanjaro. And then, of course, once we got back in Arusha. So we had the phone, but it was useless.
But why no photos, nothing like?
Well, you can click your photos, but then you had your camera. Like we carried one of the DSLRs to take good photos. And honestly, your mind is not on the photos or the phone. It is just to complete the task at hand,
Yeah.
which is to complete the kilometers and keep walking and reach the next destination. So you don't really think of calling anyone. For me, Neil, Kilimanjaro was like a walking meditation. It was just thinking about the next step at that moment. You can't think of anything else because if you keep thinking, how am I going to climb so many things, you probably can't. So all you have to do is focus on taking that next step and being there and then. And with Kilimanjaro, the nature keeps changing. So you go from rainforest to alpine desert to snow area. So you are like just bothered about looking everywhere, making sure you're fine, making sure you're okay. And that is the reason you should do it only with people you really like because you are out there. The network is probably non-existent. Of course, your guides have the satellite phones and everything. So if you really need to be connected, you will be connected. But otherwise, after the first day and the briefing in the hotel, you can charge your phone and stuff like that, but after a point, you just don't bother about it anymore. So I think the phone went right below in the backpack and we were just enjoying that holiday. So trekking is the best way to enjoy a phone free holiday, also, like along with Antarctica. It could be a small trek, it could be a long trek, but that would
I
be a
guess
great
we've
trek.
established that on a plane you can stay away from your device. On a cruise, because sometimes Wi-Fi may not be available, you
Yes.
may be in some of the remotest corners
Especially
of
the
the planet.
expedition
Yeah,
cruises. Yeah.
exactly, right? You won't have something like that. If you're doing a trek, I do treks here in Maharashtra to
Yeah.
the forts. You do the fancy ones to Kilimanjaro and all of that. There you can
Yeah.
certainly enjoy. But all of these are places that actively, like, you keep your phone away because you can't have it, right? See, for example, I was in Vietnam and I went for a bike ride around something. Sorry, it was Cambodia when I went to the Angkor Wat and we did a 12-kilometer bike ride. And you were in the jungles of Cambodia. You just don't have any network, and that's why I'm forced to be
Yeah.
away from my phone. But if I really wanted to plan a phone-free holiday, no phones on the holiday, how would you recommend someone to go about it? Because here we are planning a lot of luxury customized holidays for our guests and all of that. So if someone comes to you and says, okay, I want a phone free holiday,
Right.
whether in India, whether outside of India, how would you go about planning that?
So again, we go back to the question: why do you need the phone?
Yeah.
Why do you want to be connected? And I think digital detox is a term being used everywhere, right? So our phones have become our lifelines. They are our work. They are everything from emails to presentations to looking for maps or the other things. You use your phone for everything. So Neil, when you travel, why do you use your phone? Let me ask you this question.
Check my emails.
Okay, other than work, would you use it for anything else? Let's keep work aside.
I mean,
Emails,
I would say
yes.
I would use it for Instagram, and I do commit that sin of using it to check Instagram for a long, long time. The
Right,
doom scrolling happens.
right.
But otherwise,
And
if
maybe
I'm
to
to be
look for
honest,
restaurants or look for
yeah, Google
places or
Maps, I
Google
guess.
Maps,
Yeah,
right?
Google Maps, and
So
yeah,
I think we can divide it the easiest way to be, not maybe for someone who finds it so difficult to be 100% phone free. I would say let's put it into work free and on the phone. Maybe that's the first
yeah,
step.
that's the first step.
And stop looking at your emails. So easiest way, of course, is if you can clear all your emails, put all your pending work into place. You're going for a holiday.
Yeah,
You've planned it. And even if you haven't planned it, you can easily take like an hour or so and clear everything on your desk and on your calendar, so that you can enjoy the next few hours, days, or whatever it is, a week or so, without the phone. So I would say clear off all your email, all your work, and everything, and just maybe use the settings on your phone and not get push notifications. Just make sure all of that is done. Then you're left with Instagram, and then again it's easy to put screen monitoring, timing, and all of that, and leave the phone usage to the most important thing for your holiday.
yeah.
So it could be Google Maps, it could be restaurants, it could be places, things to see, how to reach, finding a place. And once you're comfortable with that, doing only using the phone only for that, only and only and only for that, then I think you can graduate to a complete phone free holiday. Neil, like we used to also be tour managers, and when we were doing Europe, there were no phones. You were lucky if you had a GPS in the coach,
Yeah.
on the coach. Some of them didn't work. So the first day, the driver would hand you, the coach captain, he would come to you with a Michelin guide for the roads,
Yeah.
and we would smile and we would sit there and go through the maps and the entire route, mapping out. Every tour manager had the maps and the roads of this goes here. Even today, if you ask the tour managers, most of them know the highway numbers and
Yeah.
the autobahn numbers, and then we have to take this, and after so much point, then we have to do this, because nothing was available. People were better planned. We would plan the whole route, you would plan the stops, you would plan the restaurants, you would plan everything, and then the journey would start. And it was so expensive to call on the phone that we actually had calling cards where you would scratch the number, go to a local phone booth. So you couldn't call till you reach some place, and then there
Yeah.
was this local phone booth. Then you pick up and then you dial a number, then they connect you, and then things happen. So in a lot of ways, it was a phone free way of traveling. It's not impossible. It happened earlier, it can happen again. So I think planning is the key. And yeah, start off with putting work aside first, and then come to Google, then come to restaurant. I mean, mostly, see, anytime I travel, it's easiest to just get in touch with you and ask you for a restaurant list, and then I have them. Why do I really need to keep checking Open Table or Zomato, or any of the apps
Yeah.
for the local recommendations? Call a friend somewhere and have your list ready. So plan, 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 and plan, and once
Now
you've
that
planned, you can do it.
now that you say it, like it would be interesting to do like a self-drive trip
Yeah.
without Google Maps,
Yes.
trying to find your route, just looking at the road
Yeah.
signs and like, and of course, we are sitting here in the first month of the new year, and we are 2 or 3 weeks in, right? So we make resolutions, but maybe today I'll make a resolution that one of the trips that I do, I have Singapore, London, Spain lined up this year. One of the trips I'll probably do will be a trip which will have a day where we don't use our phones even to
Nice.
like find out, because you remember the time when we used to go to Bangkok and we used to just manually
Yeah.
calculate
Yeah.
how much the currency exchange rate is.
Yes.
Now there are apps that are actually helping us do that. But are there any resorts that force you to keep your phone away?
Oh,
Like,
there are many. There are many resorts that help you do that. And in fact, coming back to your point where you said that a lot of times you are forced to be phone free, I think one of the best holidays, and I think we should all grant or gift ourselves that at least once a year, is a wellness break. And in most of the wellness resorts, they will request you to not use their phones. I was at one other Six Senses property in Rishikesh, and when I went in, there were rules, and they said in the public places you cannot use your phones. You can only use them in the room when you're by yourself, so that you don't disturb others, because it's so important to your healing process, for so many reasons. Because you're there for a reason, you're there for a purpose. After your they check you and your checkup is done, and they prescribe a lot of treatments. And while you're in that zone, mentally, physically, and even with the food and everything, getting into that zone, you don't want a disturbance, like you said, distraction of
Yeah.
the emails or notifications, and then you get pulled into that world again. So I think that really helped. And I saw that there were even a group of women who had come, like a girls' trip, and I could see that they were so nicely, was such a pleasant change. I was there on my own, but it was such a pleasant change to see that people were not looking into the phones, but were actually speaking and talking with each other.
Yeah.
So that itself was nice. I had carried a book with me, so I was either reading, but most of these places have books, or I was sketching or something, by the side. So I enjoyed that time. So most of these resorts will do that. In fact, some of the luxury resorts also will, request you to be phone free. So Sonewa, for example, has this policy called barefoot luxury,
Okay.
and they will say no news and no shoes. So when you check in, they ask you, would you be a part of that? And if you are, then they give you a bag and you put your shoes and your phone into it and lock it off, and then you can enjoy
So no
barefoot.
shoes also.
No shoes also, because you're in like Maldives, you're in, feel the sand, like really have a holiday where you experience it. So walk on the beach barefoot. You can, of course, keep it in. You can have some other slippers or something to walk around. But if you want, it's so good that you can walk barefoot and be without your phone.
Oh, like I like these places, like properties which have these unique things that you
Yeah.
can really embark on, because a property is not only about going and staying in your room, right? Doing different things. And when it comes to different things, there are amenities, there are all of these activities that you can do. But when there are these initiatives, it just gives your holiday or your trip a whole new meaning, right? Okay, great. So I mean, we've spoken over the last 15-20 minutes about a lot of no phone holidays, right? Now, if someone were to go about planning it, someone might just watch this episode and be like, okay, like, this year I'll do a no phone holiday.
Sure.
But if you really want to make it happen, what is your advice to them?
Well, I think choosing the right destinations and choosing the right kind of a holiday is important. We mentioned cruises, Antarctica. We mentioned about the wellness resorts, which would naturally make it makes your life easier by, like sometimes you want to tell people in office, oh, I can't be connected, and I'll say, but I work, and then you can say, oh, I can't help it, there's no network. So
Yeah.
I will finish things off and then go. So wellness is the second thing. I think choosing a few destinations and choosing a few resorts is the first step to getting it right. So say for example, one place where I really pray and hope that never ever will people get network is the safaris. Like when you're in Africa or even in India, in the jungle, in the forest, and you're out on a safari on the Mara, and you're looking at animals, the last thing you want is someone's phone to buzz, right, or
Yeah.
to ring. And nowadays I've seen that there is network even in these places, and I'm so happy when it disappears, because you really don't want people doing that. You want people seeing you. You want to enjoy it yourself
Yeah.
as well. So when I was in Masai Mara, I think I enjoyed that. I loved it, like just being out on the bush, having a bush breakfast in the morning. And maybe, yes, I did use my phone for photographs then, but I wasn't thinking of other things. And again, that was one place. So I would say choose a place, choose a destination that would help you do that, and then you can go on to planning. So maybe you want to schedule certain time of the day. Like on a work trip, it's impossible to not be connected,
Yeah.
right? And we were on one such trip in Peru, and of course we were at the Machu Picchu and we were at other places. But and very often I see a lot of my friends and colleagues, on the phone talking and discussing about holidays for other people. Of course, it's work for them. We may be traveling, but that's not really a holiday. So I feel that the minute you're probably in the city or something, preempt things, finish things, plan them, finish them off if you can. And then when you're actually at that place, at the sightseeing or the attraction, put your phone away. Like at least put it on airplane mode. You can
Yeah.
take all the photos you want, but you are really disconnected.
No notifications or anything.
No notifications and nothing. In fact, Neil, we did this our Marathi travel podcast, Travel Katta, and I had guest Abhishek Khankar. And he, in fact, mentioned that why do you really need to take so many photos when you're at some place? And he said, when you're going to a sightseeing attraction or something, go and see that place. You are not the attraction. So you don't need to keep taking your photos. You go and actually live and see that attraction.
Very
And I
valid
thought that was a
point.
very nice point. He said, why is everyone so obsessed with selfies? You're not the attraction. Don't carry so many clothes. Go and really live it. And I thought it was very, very
I think
interesting.
awesome. So, Sunila, if you really think about it, right, over the course of the episode, we've spoken about the types of transport available: plane, sea, rail, where you can have these type of holidays. We have spoken about different places that you can go. That is mountains where you can have the beach that you can go to and really enjoy. You can probably go to the snow and enjoy. You could go on a trek and be in a wildlife safari and enjoy. So I guess anyone watching this, they don't really need a reason to say that I can't do no phone holidays. You can probably do it anywhere you go. We've spoken about places, we've spoken about experiences, we've done everything. Do you think we've missed out on anything?
I just want to add, Neil, that you can actually do it in your backyard. And even in a city like Mumbai, you can experience this. So, in the monsoons, one of the favorite things that I and my friend Manu often do is go to Sanjay Gandhi National Park. So, right here in our city, in Mumbai, you can actually go on a trek. And this year I went for the Karvi trek. That's the purple flower, which flowers once in 8 years.
Okay.
So it was this beautiful trek, and as we were walking through the forest, there were some times where, the group, some people walk ahead, some walk, and then you're alone for some time, and you're just in the forest, and you can smell the forest.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the Japanese Shinrin Yoku, which is forest bathing experiences, and a lot of resorts in India have started that.
What is the forest
So,
bathing experience?
the whole idea is that you go to a forest and just be surrounded by nature, the trees, and actually start seeing them. You don't need to do anything. Just be there in the moment, smell the leaves, smell the trees, and just hear the birds and everything. And that I think it's beautiful. And you can do it in Mumbai. Like you don't need to go anywhere. Just one weekend or any day, just walk up, go and do a trek in Sanjay Gandhi National Park, and you are in. In fact, now I think there's the elevated walkway near Valkeshwar. So.
Yeah.
There are so many places that we can choose to do that wherever we want to go, and I think it's a good point. On your holiday, you decided one day where you will go off Google Maps and you will just go with the flow. I think we should all start
Yeah,
small,
start somewhere.
and choose at least one day that you will be without your phones on your holidays. So I think starting from there, maybe we will reach that stage where we can be completely phone free and have a real holiday.
I guess awesome. Let's end this episode probably with this note. So guys, wherever you're listening to this, whether it's on your morning commute, whether it's your morning walk, or whether while you're planning your next vacation, think about it. Like, when was the last time you had a phone free holiday? And if it was a long time ago, I guess, as Sunila has told us, start somewhere and start planning now, because those things are probably the best things where you'll really celebrate life with your loved ones. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. We'll come back to you next week with another fun episode. Until then, as we always say, keep celebrating life. Bye.
Bye.